and welcome along to the Invincible podcast with my man, Lee Judges, back in the building after his exploits over there in Dubai. And I've got to say, man, you're looking fresh, man.
Yeah, I feel good.
Mixed race.
I feel good. I feel good. I feel good. I just wanted one of those Arsenal Jamaican shirts now. Yeah, like,
you're looking well, man.
Yeah, I feel good. I
Good
needed it. Yeah, fantastic trip. Fantastic.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What was you doing then? What sort of stuff what was you up to?
Well, I don't like the name drop. Should I name drop, like, you know what I mean? So obviously Steven Gerrard was in the same hotel as us, like, you know.
Steven Gerrard.
John Barnes and Teddy Sheringham do the football thing and all that. They're here every year, but you know, like sitting in a restaurant, and Steven Gerrard's three tables away from me, like, you know.
Wow.
So so I went up to him. And he was just, I'll tell you what a guy, what a lovely fella. Had a chat with him about the incident with Kevin Campbell when they played against Liverpool and that. And then he said to me, are you watching the game Sunday? I think it's about Thursday, so about a week ago. You know, so he said, like, you watching the game? So I said, yeah, I'll be watching that. He said, oh, well, come watch it with us in the bar.
Wow, so you watched Liverpool versus Arsenal with Steven Gerrard?
Yeah.
Wow, they don't get no better than that.
They don't get no better than that. So what happened was he sat one side, I sat the other, and he got all the Liverpool fans on one side, I got all the Arsenal fans on the other.
Oh, brilliant.
And like when Arsenal scored after a few minutes, we were all going mad, and like, you know what I mean. And then we went 2-0 up. I don't know who it was. It wasn't me. One of the Arsenal fans went like, "Who are ya? Who are ya?" Like,
to Gerrard?
To all of as it's to Liverpool, like, you know. So then they scored, didn't they? Mo Salah and Stephen got up and went, "Who are ya? Who are ya?" And then it was just great banter, and obviously, like, you know, once the game finished, we was all shaking each other's hands. It was brilliant. You know, money couldn't buy that. You know what I mean? And I'm going to say this now. And I did tell him this. He is one of the best midfield players that I've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Probably he said that after that.
So like,
you never used to say that before.
No, I did. I was a big fan of.
Yeah, you've always loved.
I've always liked him, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
A big player, and you know what an absolute pleasure he was. Like, you know what I mean? He's on holiday with his family and all that. Like, anybody asked for a photo, he'd do it. Like, do you know what I mean? And but love of football, talk about football. And what's the really funny thing is that any game that was on, Robbie, he was there. He was watching it. You know what I mean? Loves his football. Watching every game. I did. I thought, well, like, sun's out. You know what I mean? I'm like, but I don't think he's a big sun worshipper like me. But like, he was watching championship games. He was in the bar. He was watching like Man United Everton. He was watching that game with his pals and all that. Like, you know, just a really down to earth guy.
Student of the game.
Yeah, student of the game. Yeah, you know. But I was surprised. He watched the Man United Everton game and not the Rangers Celtic game.
Oh wow! That's
yeah, like,
maybe his missus has had enough.
So like, you know, they was on at the same time. So I thought, like, because of being ex-Rangers manager, he might have watched that, but he didn't know. He watched the Everton game. So yeah, but brilliant! What an absolute brilliant! What an absolute star of a bloke he was.
Yeah, well, we're going to talk a bit about that game, and also we're going to have a look forward to this weekend's game when Arsenal are taking on West Ham. And I've got a question to ask. After that result, of course, Liverpool 2, Arsenal 2, are Arsenal now the underdogs to win the Premier League? Because I think that's what most people are suggesting, but I want to get your thoughts on it. Also, I've got to just remind everybody about a big event that's coming up, right? The Invincible podcast is going to be doing a live show. It's going to be at Islington Assembly Hall on the 23rd of May at 7 p.m. We're going to be there live, me and Lee, with guests as well. We're going to have some guests on there. We're putting the guests together at the moment, right? And also we're going to be doing a Q&A. So if you want to be part of this show live, click the link in the description. You can get your tickets and come down to Islington Assembly Hall live on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. That's about a week before the season finishes, right? We'll be
could be a right celebration.
Hopefully. I mean, listen, if we're celebrating, that'd be brilliant. If we're sort of looking forward to the final game of the season, it all comes down to that. We don't know, but come and join us. Get your tickets now. They're selling fast. Tuesday the 23rd of May at 7 p.m, Islington Assembly Hall, the Invincible podcast live with guests and a live Q&A, and any questions you want to ask us on the day, we'll be answering them as well, including you'll be able to get more stories of meeting up with Steven Gerrard. What a story that is. But the game did finish 2-2. I was at the game, I've got to say, Lee.
Met Jamie Carragher, you nearly went one better than me.
Jamie Carragher, Klopp.
Yeah, I see that.
I'll tell you what,
well.
the mad thing was Klopp recognised me. That was crazy, you know what I mean? It's like, you know what I mean?
That's unreal, like.
And he was a nice guy as well. I've got to big it up to Klopp as well. He actually came out of the stadium, stopped his car, and was like taking pictures with loads and loads of fans, right? And I was like, wow, a lot of people just drive off, you know what I mean? So, and, Jamie Carragher's always a cool guy, you know what I mean? And, but the game itself, I was in dreamland. When we went 2-0 up, honestly, Lee, I mean, the atmosphere in the away end was incredible. We couldn't believe what we was watching. I mean, we knew it was going to be a tough game. But we went 2-0 up, and I just kept thinking to myself, get that third. Yeah. Get that third. Kill it dead. Because this team can come back from 2, but 3, they ain't coming back from 3. We just couldn't get that third goal, and then they started knocking on the door, and then they get the goal back. Now, a lot of people are tying it into, and I want to get, this is my first thoughts I want to get from you. A lot of people are trying to say that Granit Xhaka wound up the crowd. Now, this is my opinion. As a person that was there, the crowd was already on the up. Because if you remember rightly, they'd already had a couple of chances. That, you know what I mean? So the crowd were already getting up. The incident with Xhaka was not, for me, a catalyst. It is why people are tying it in is because it kind of came after that they got the goal. And I think that goal was a little bit fortunate in a way in that Henderson didn't mean to pass that ball into the path of Salah, and he managed to get on the end of it and get the goal. But what do you make of this? Because a lot of people, it's almost like they've been blaming Xhaka, which I'm not blaming Xhaka for this at all.
Nah.
I think it's ridiculous.
And it's annoyed me. I'm going to say it's annoyed me a little bit because everybody's quick to have a go at Xhaka. Media, match of the day. I watched that out there and I see them having a go. Was it Stephen Warner? It's not a foul on Xhaka. If the referee does his job properly, we get a free kick and a chance to put it into the area. That incident doesn't happen, and then he can't wait to give the penalty.
Stephen Warner's a Liverpool fan.
Yeah, he's a Liverpool fan.
Liverpool.
Yeah, you know what I mean. And this is what I can't stand about these pundits. They're too biased to their team. Listen, he shouldn't have got involved. Yes, I agree with that. You don't want to rail up the crowd at any given time, but. The reason was is in a game of football, you're 2-0 up, you're in the emotions of the game. He should have been given the foul. He wasn't given the foul. I've never seen Jesus wound up about things because he wasn't getting the protection from that clown as a referee, And Arsenal fans will prefer to have a go at Xhaka instead of having a go at Tierney, who I believe is a Manchester person. You know what I mean? So he's got connections with one of them clubs, I guarantee it. Couldn't wait last season to give the penalty against Tottenham, which was never a penalty, by the way. Couldn't wait to give that one yesterday. Whether you think it's a penalty or not, couldn't wait to give it. If that's a penalty, right? So then
I did think it was a penalty.
Right, okay. So it's a free kick on Xhaka in the first place, but he doesn't give that. And of course, then old Trent, old big hard Trent. You know what I mean? Of course he knows what he's doing. Would he do that in the tunnel? I wouldn't. I don't think so.
No.
But
listen.
Really
I guess Xhaka. You could argue and say he shouldn't have got involved, right? But
because we're 2-0 up. That's the fact.
But I don't think you use that as a reason because also,
listen,
Xhaka's been great this season. Xhaka's not been sent off this season. Xhaka's not got excessive amount of yellow cards this season. His discipline's been very, very good. His leadership has been very, very good. We want to have combative players in our midfield. What do we all used to moan about? Us being
bullied
soft
and all
touch
that. Yeah.
And bullied and stuff like that.
We don't get bullied no more.
He was sort of standing up, you know what I mean?
And a big point on this, Chelsea away. It happened in that game there, and everybody loved him for it. You know what I mean? Because they tried to intimidate us, and he stuck to his guns. And because we went on and won the game, nothing said. I just think at the end of the day, it's not just forget about the Arsenal fans and whatever. I get that there's two sides of it, and you can see all that. But other fans, other pundits and all that trying to get onto him. You know, what are they doing? I tell you what they're trying to derail what we've got and what we haven't got, like trying to get him in trouble. Oh, look at him like that. I mean, you know, let's get ourselves all together and stick together. And if he done something wrong, so what? Back him.
Casemiro does that. It's never his fault.
No. Like, you know what I mean? So I'm backing him. I'm backing him.
Yeah, I'm backing Xhaka as well. He's been a very, very important player for us this season. And listen, they got one back, and once they got that goal back, it was after that half time, man. It was like the Alamo. They came at us, and you know what, right? I think when you take a look back at that game, you have to give a little bit of credit to us. All right, we were a bit lucky because they've missed the penalty, right? But after we stood firm, Aaron Ramsdale, brilliant. Our defenders, I thought, they had backs against the wall for literally the whole game, right? And that is part of, people just look at things sometimes and say, oh yeah, you were lucky because they battered you. But we stood firm. They battered Man United as well and they won 7-0.
Yeah.
Remember, that all came, 6 of those goals came in the second half, right? They came at us with the same energy in the second half and we held firm. And I think not enough credit has gone to our defensive performance in that second half. I know they got back in the game, they got another one to equalise, and I know they had chances, but at the end of the day, it was our defence that kept it out. And, we could have nicked it as well.
Oh, that was the thing.
And I'm saying, I was doing a show with Expressions over on Best of Enemies, and I said to him, it reminded me of when you guys went to the Etihad and won that game. A couple of seasons ago, I don't know if you remember it, Tottenham, they went to the Etihad, right? They got a goal. I can't remember if it was 3-2 they won.
Yeah, Harry Kane scored.
Remember they got a couple of goals and City got back into it and City absolutely battered them.
Yeah.
And then they got a breakaway at the end and they scored it. And we got our breakaway at the end. And I think Martinelli just got
rushed it, didn't he?
Yeah, if you square that better, we could have got away with all 3 points. But I think, not enough credit has gone to our defending and the performance of Aaron Ramsdale, which was brilliant. But also, because honestly, what we faced in that second half is what Man United faced. But the difference was Man United capitulated and lost 7-0.
Yeah, most teams there's only Leeds that have won there, and that was a nick goal at the end, I think 3-2 or something like that. When they're
very difficult place to go to.
Very, very difficult, and Mo Salah went through in the first half. I thought Ramsdale saved it. When you see it, he miskicked it, didn't he, into the stand. They had a chance there. Robinson had a very good chance. He put it wide, and then we had a few chances as well. We had a few chances. When you dominate a team like that in the first half, that is the thing. When you dominate
first 35 minutes.
First 35 minutes, and it was a masterclass, Robbie. It was a masterclass football. I'm sitting there. I was with Cass, who obviously lives over there, and I did say to him, I said, if we could win this 3 or 4 here, and he went, yeah, I know. We're playing so well, but you've got it's Liverpool, but. I think if you look back against all those teams, Fulham, Crystal Palace, all those teams with dominated leagues, they've all had chances. The difference is that Liverpool took theirs, and they didn't. You know what I mean? And that was the problem. We do, if I really be honest, is that domination in that first 35 minutes. They had 2 one-on-ones against us. Yeah. That shouldn't happen, Robbie. You know what I mean? When you're totally in control. But second half, I'm thinking, right, we come out again. We didn't. For whatever reason, we didn't. We tried to hang on to what we got. They forced us back, and then I think they forced us back, and then at one stage we thought, right, let's see if we can get what we can get. And, you're looking at the clock. I was looking at 86, 87, just hold out. Yeah. Unfortunately, we didn't. And then, my word, those last 5 minutes in, we could have lost it, won it, and it was an incredible game.
Yeah, you're a neutral fan. It was an unbelievable game.
Incredible game.
But where it leaves us now is that, because Manchester City, of course, the day before had gone and absolutely battered Southampton. Haaland again. And where it leaves us now is that, we played a game more on 73 points. Man City, 29 games played, 67 points. 6 points behind us, but they got that game in their hands. Now, what it's basically done is it's in both of our hands.
Yeah, that's exactly.
If you're one of the TV companies, you're Sky or BT Sport, you're rubbing your hands together and saying this is the perfect title race now because it's in both of our hands. Man City know if they win every game from now till the end of the season, they win the title. Arsenal know if they win every game from now till the end of the season, we win the title. Obviously, it doesn't always work out like that, but it does start to look that it's going to come down to that game at the Etihad.
Yeah.
Arsenal also know that if they say they could go to that game at the Etihad and not have to win it.
Yeah, that's what we've
Possibly
got to do.
if we won all our other games and drew that game, that would be enough. But if they get up on the same sort of points as us, they've got a far superior goal difference. 5 goal difference at the moment. I remember they played a game less, and with the machine that is Haaland, you sort of think to yourself, if they need to go and get, say, 3-4 goals in a game, they got him. And they might even do that this week when they're up against Leicester City. So who are the underdogs now? Are we now the underdogs in this title race? Let's again look at the title running, right? And look at the games that are coming up for both teams. Let me first of all look at Manchester City. This is their running from now till the end of the season, right? Just going to go by their. I'll include the other games as well that they're going to have in between because those could be significant, don't you think?
Yeah, 100%. They're going to have Real Madrid now, aren't they?
Yeah. So this week, obviously they've got Leicester City at home, 5:30 kickoff. I can only see a beat down in that game because Leicester, second from bottom, have lost 19 games this season. Been absolutely awful on the road. They got a new manager in, but I don't see much manager bounce with Dean Smith, do you? I was hoping that they were going to get Rafa Benitez. But I don't see much manager bounce. Funny enough, Leicester has been a team over the years that have gone to the Etihad and got results.
Yeah. Dream on.
Yeah, no chance, right? Then they go away next week to Bayern Munich, but they're already 3-0 up in that, so you'd expect them to get through. Next weekend, they don't actually have a Premier League game. They were supposed to play Brighton.
Massive.
They're playing in the FA Cup against Sheffield United. We would have played on the Friday, right, against Southampton. Now, again, that could be significant just in stretching the amount of points that's there. They've got to play this game against Brighton. It's not been set for when that game is going to happen. And again, that could be significant because they've got to go away to Brighton. That won't be easy. But also, when will it fall, that game? Will that game fall between some games that makes it difficult for them? I don't know. We're going to have to wait and see.
It'd be nice if it was the day after us.
The day after our game. They've probably still got the squad to do that, right? Then, of course, the big one, Wednesday, the 26th of April, Manchester City versus Arsenal. It doesn't get, this saying's used a lot, but it don't. You don't get no bigger than that. The title race could be decided on that game. It could be. Then they go after that on the weekend away to Fulham. You'd expect them to win it.
Fulham, a different team.
Fulham were earlier on in the season doing really well, but no Mitrovic now. They've kind of fallen
wheels
off.
Have come off, haven't they?
They got West Ham at home. You'd expect them to win that. They go away to Leeds. Leeds, after what I saw the other day, they were terrible. Yeah. But that's not away to Leeds. That's at home. So you'd expect them to beat Leeds, even though Leeds are fighting for their lives down at the bottom. Another tricky one, though. They've got to go away to Everton.
This is the one.
That's a tricky one. That's a tricky one away to Everton. They faced Chelsea at home, which you'd expect them to win that the way Chelsea have been playing. And then the last game of the season, they go away to Brentford, which won't be the easiest game. But they go away to Brentford. And then, of course, in between that, what they may face, of course, or they probably are going to face, is a double header against Real Madrid. So how is that going to pose any problems to them? We know they've got the squad normally to do this, but could that pose any problems for them in their running? Arsenal's running once again. This weekend, West Ham away. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But West Ham away. Then Friday the 21st of April, before any of and they won't even be playing that weekend, as I said. We're at home to Southampton, bottom of the league at the moment. Then as I said, 26th, the big one on BT Sport. We go away to Manchester City at the Etihad. Our game, which was going to happen at the weekend, which has now been moved, I'm going to ask you about that as well, Lee, now been moved to the Tuesday against Chelsea at home. Chelsea at home on Tuesday, the 2nd of May. Then on the Sunday, we go away to Newcastle. Very, very tough game. We're at home to Brighton on Sunday, the 14th of May. Won't be easy. Then away to Nottingham Forest, who are down there at the bottom. And then we finish off the season with Wolves at home, who could be in a relegation fight, or it could be that they're not in a relegation fight. But then even sometimes these teams that are not in a relegation fight just, play with the freedom right at the end. You know what I mean? So it's not always the easiest, but you'd expect us to win those, those last couple of games, or that last one at least. So it's a fairly even running, although the Newcastle one is the glaring, really, really tough game going away there. We all know what happened last year. Let me get your thoughts, Lee, first of all, on that. On that one, Chelsea one moving. Does that help? Because that first one, I was angry about it.
Yeah, I was angry about it.
It's a Saturday game, it's a 5:30 kickoff. It's so unfair on all those fans who would have booked up their tickets, fans coming from abroad, from all across the UK, booked hotels, tickets, and then now that game's been moved to a Tuesday night. But could actually help us as well, because we are playing City on the Wednesday. It does give a few extra days.
Gives us a bit of recovery time. First and foremost, I feel for the fans, the international fans and all that, that are coming over. Some of them, from Australia and whatever. It's the last bit of their trip, and then they go home, which people go, oh well, you can, book it or rebook it or whatever. Some of those fans can't, and they'd have looked at that months, even years ago, beginning of the season, and gone, Chelsea, that's the one we go, Chelsea. We finish off at that Chelsea game. So and the reasons that it's been cancelled is diabolical. I've got to say, and it's not the first time games are being cancelled because of this season. And I've got to say, at the last minute. Listen, we get it. That it says it on there, subject to change because of TV and whatever. That game was set in stone.
Was booked in for TV.
That's set in stone. Set in stone. There's no reason why that game should be called off. Now, if they're saying because the police haven't got enough because they're all on holiday, they've known this for months, Robbie. They've known it for months. So from that point of view, it's disgraceful. And I know that Arsenal have voiced their anger at it as well. But from a selfish point of view, I think it's not a bad thing, because we've now, if you think you're playing on Wednesday, you've got to travel home Wednesday night, you've got Thursday, Friday, and you've got to go out Saturday. Now we can just relax a little bit and play Chelsea on the Tuesday. So, listen, I don't think it's, from that point of view, it's the end of the world, but it's not right. It's not right.
It does mean, though, that on that weekend, let me just have a look again. Because on that weekend, will City be playing though? Which they will. They'll be playing against West Ham. No, Fulham. So it does mean that they'll play against Fulham. So they'll play before us again. And quite a lot of times before the end of the season, they're going to be playing just before us. Yeah. So pressure will be heaped upon Arsenal week after week after week. But when you look at the two run-ins, are we the underdogs now? After we drop those 2 points, whichever way you want to look at it, but it's 2 points dropped at Liverpool. May not be, as Jamie Carragher said to me after the game, you never know. That could be, you look back at the end of the season and say, what a great point that was, significant point that was. But it means now that we've got no margin for error now.
Yeah, that's the thing.
We've got no margin for error, Arsenal. Is this starting to make us look like the underdogs? A lot of the bookies are making us the underdogs.
Yeah.
Most of the pundits are now saying that they feel that City are the favourites.
City are the favourites from one point of view, is that they've got that home game. They're at home. We're at
the Etihad against us.
Yeah, and on our point of view, if we get a draw then, or even better, a win, it puts us in a much, much favourable position. The end of it, they've got one result, we've got two, but they're at home. So, listen, if we win there, it's fantastic. If we lose, it's pretty much done. because of that extra, like they've got the extra point with the goal difference, so we ain't going to make that up. So the good thing about it from an Arsenal point of view, that doesn't matter whatever. We've got the next 2 games now are unbelievable. West Ham and Southampton. If we do not pick up 6 points from those 2 games, it's done. That's what it is now. Like we needed to. I think we needed to beat Liverpool just to give us that little bit of thing. But what I look at it now is that by not beating Liverpool, we've got to try and get a result at Man City. Now, if we draw at Manchester City, it's a far better result for us than it is them. Now, if we was to say get the draw, which is going to be tough, but it's not beyond us. We can get a draw up there. If we can go to Anfield and get a result, and been to Tottenham, been to Chelsea, we've got results. If we can get there and get a result, then it's back in our hands again. Doesn't matter what they do, and we could actually go to Newcastle and draw and still win it if we win all our other games. I don't see Manchester City dropping any points apart from against us. If I look at it, I think, well, there's an opportunity. We have got to try and get something from that game now. Do I think we can? Yeah, I do think we can, but it's no good going up there and getting something if we've slipped up at Southampton and slips up at West Ham, which is not going to be easy. We've got to win those 2 games now and go on an almighty run at the end of the season, Rob, because I've just looking at their fixtures, I don't really see them dropping any points. I don't see them dropping any points. If they drop any points, I'll be celebrating it like it's but I don't see it. I think that they go and win every game, bar the game against Arsenal, where I look at that and go that they could drop points against us. But that's the only one we're capable of getting there.
Yeah, I mean,
what do you think? Do you think they're favourites now?
I think they're probably the favourites now, yeah. Just because of, like you said, the game that everybody's pinpointing and saying that's the deciding game is at their place. And let's be real, we haven't beaten them there for a very, very long time. And so they have to be the favourites. However, I do think it's still a very close run thing. I think Arsenal can take a lot of heart from that Liverpool performance because we didn't lose. And that's another place that, our record's probably even worse than the Etihad. And like you said, we had a horrific record at Tottenham and we addressed that this season. So listen, if you're going to be champions, you've got to do some things that particular season that you've never done before. Yeah. So it might be like, can you go to the Etihad and win? Now, I think I remember when Leicester won the title, they went to the Etihad. I know probably
Chelsea did it as well, didn't it?
Yeah. You've got to go there and get something. And this is the challenge to Arsenal this year. I also feel that it could, the fact that, they're going to have a lot of extra games. Now, I know they've got a great squad and they have got an unbelievable squad. And we saw, even the other day when they were able to leave out Haaland and they still brought in Alvarez and they still, and Mahrez they can bring in who didn't play during the week and stuff like that. But a lot of games, a lot of big pressure games does take its toll. And they are going to be looking now like they will be in the semi-final of the Champions League. And that will be, by the looks of it, up against Real Madrid, that'll be tough. We heard, Pep Guardiola the other day saying that he was emotionally wrecked after that game during the week. So these games do take a bit out of you. And if you then go into the weekend and you lose a little bit of your edge, and I'm saying, listen, they've been there, they've done this many a times. But I do feel that at this moment in time, this is kind of looking like their best chance for years of winning this Champions League. So could that take a little something out of a weekend performance that they just dip a little bit? Because in the case of Arsenal, it's clear they're chasing one thing. It's clear that these players have been training and all week focused upon one thing, and that's West Ham. And the really strange thing is that West Ham are the ones who've got the Thursday night game. We haven't even got that. And that's one of the things over the years we've seen a dip sometimes with Arsenal when it's after a Champions League game. So could that be a factor? Now, they're helped out a little bit that they've got an FA Cup game next week.
So that
you know, that
eliminates
trip
it.
away to Bayern doesn't even though they're 3-0 up already, doesn't really mean much.
Don't
because
affect
at
us.
the weekend they're playing in the FA Cup. But even they could have another FA Cup game in there as well, Lee.
Well, they got the,
And you know, if they win the FA Cup game,
they've got the final,
next week,
haven't they?
Oh, it's a semi-final. Yeah, I'm
Yes, they've
forgetting
got
that.
the
So it's
final.
not even another.
Yeah, they've got the final
So
at the end.
Yeah.
Well, what?
I don't think that would affect it then. That
No,
wouldn't affect
no,
it. But
but
certainly the additional. Listen, we look at Liverpool last year. They were unbelievable, Liverpool. But what happened to them at the end of the season is they kind of run out of steam because they just had so many games and they had a good squad.
Yeah.
And they were battling on all fronts and they had Diaz coming in and this. They were able to change their squad around a bit. But at the end of the day, they just kind of, at the end of it, run out of steam a little bit. Not a lot, just a little bit where, and, you know, so...
They've been fortunate, no. They've been, I'm not saying fortunate, but, you know, they deserved it, I suppose. You know, the last Champions League game, they was it 4 or 5-0 up, and this one here is done and dusted. So when they're going into Real Madrid one, it's got to be that first game, wherever it is, it's got to be, or Chelsea, you know what I mean? It's got to be tight, so that they, at this moment in time, let's say if it's 1-1, they've got to go over to Spain or they've got to go to Stamford Bridge or vice versa. They know that they've got to put in a performance. So that game, whatever that game is, in between, it could be vital. Because not only is it might rest players, but players don't want to get injured. For players, you know what I mean, like, you know, so you want it to be a real running battle. Whenever they play them two, be a real running battle, and the old batteries are drained, and it could take its toll, like, you know. Now it's not going to take its toll on us for that Wednesday game, but still they've still got to play up until they play us Tuesday, Wednesday, Saturday, Sunday. For that semi-final.
It's a lot of games.
It's a lot of games before when we're only playing 2. I think they've got 5. So we're going to go up to that game a little bit fresher. That's the only thing that I can think of. But if we could actually get something from that game, that could be a big thing for them going, oh, well, we're not quite, oh, they're going to win it now, like, you know what I mean? It could just take their eye off it, especially with that Champions League. So, yeah, I think it could be important, but they need... Real Madrid or Chelsea need to turn up in that semi-final and really give it to them, like, do you know what I mean? Give them a real forceful game, because, you know, Bayern Munich, I thought played quite well what I see of it, but
to start with,
but you know, that's done now. They're in the next round, so it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for us, really. Like, but listen,
so you make them the favourites, you think?
I think they're slight favourites, but. I'm going to say it now. I think we'll get something at Man City. I think that we will get something. I think if there's any team that can stop Man City this season, it's us. We're as good as them. Every team that they're playing there, and I include Real Madrid and I include Bayern Munich in that they're better. They're not better than us. There's not a lot in it. And if we hit form on that day, we could get them. We could get them. You know what I mean? And listen. They've got vulnerabilities in their team as much as we have, you know. So it couldn't
be more evenly matched, because you know what the thing is about it, right? Is that both teams have been on an unbelievable run.
Oh yeah, of course.
Because I think people are forgetting. I mean, we didn't lose that game at the weekend. It is a very, very tough place to go, and that's like 9 games unbeaten for Arsenal. And I think it's a similar thing for them. So
unreal.
It's both teams are just on an unbelievable run.
It would be nice if we'd have just seen ourselves over. I think
if we'd have got that win,
against Liverpool. I honestly think if we'd have beaten Liverpool on Sunday, I think we would have won it. I think we would have won it. Now, you know,
bit of doubt.
There's doubt. You know what I mean? There's doubt because, you know, you can't. But listen, you know, Arsenal are capable of that. Just forget about what's gone on now. Win your next games. You know, we've got to win at 8 games. Let's go there, you know, or I know it sounds silly, like, you know, we could actually lose one, say we lose to Man City and then win every other game, we still won't win the league. But if we draw at Man City and then draw at Newcastle, we can win the league.
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
It's a weird thing, like, you know what I mean? So,
because basically we've got to knock out the team that's chasing us, which is them.
Exactly, you know what I mean?
The thing is, that game is so significant because you're right, if you go there, you get a result, it's almost like that sort of really knocks them way back. Not way back, but knocks them back.
Well, like, listen, if we go there and win, or we go there and draw, it's virtually ours. You know what I mean? You can't say it's not Rob Light. You know what I mean? So it is.
Yeah, that game's. I mean, that game. Listen. Right, this game. Right. You know, I was talking about it the other day, and I was like, remember '89?
Yeah, it's very similar.
It's very similar.
It's very similar.
Like, it's all on that game. Can you go away to a place that you never win at, to a place that nobody's been winning at, and get a result? And that's what Arsenal did, and that is why they've made films and documentaries about '89, and people still talk about it to this day. Now, some of the young fans can see the significance of that game, because that is what that is basically like this City game, where it's like, you've got to go to the champions and win. And actually, it was even... We had to win it by 2 clear goals.
Yeah.
Right? We had to win it by 2 clear goals, and we did it. And this is what Arsenal, I think, it could boil down to us having to go to Man City and say, right, you know what? You were the champions. We're going to topple you at your place. Now, Arsenal have a history of winning titles at teams'
That's
grounds.
a great point. That is a great point. And one of the biggest things about it, Robbie, is we don't have to rely on anybody else. It's up to us. We don't want to be relying on other teams, Leicester, like, you know what I mean? Come on, like, you know what I mean? We're relying on Leicester to do it, like, you know. But the similarities of '89 is, but the 2 games before that were Wimbledon and Derby, and it's one was bottom, and one was about where West Ham are now, like, you know what I mean? Like, and we only took 1 point from those 3 games.
Yeah.
What is important is we got to get points from these 2 games, and if we do that, you know, look, listen, we'll go up there that day. God, I'm gonna be nervous. You know what I mean? Like that, you know. But
it'll be horrible.
It's so. We've had that little thing. Even over the last few games, I've been a little bit nerve wracking. Like, you know, Sunday was nerve wracking, but you had in the back of your mind there was a little bit of a cushion. That safety net has now been taken down. So you're on that wire with no safety net now. Like, that's how you've got to look at it. Like, you know. Can you get across that wire? Yeah, you can. People can do it. You know what I mean? Like, but the safety net is gone now, and it's going to come down. If we win our next 2 games and get a result up there, Rob, you know, we've still got work to do. But my God, we put ourselves in a fantastic position.
We definitely will put ourselves in a fantastic position. Now, obviously, big game this weekend, and as I said, the weird thing about it is the fact that we're playing against West Ham. They're the ones that have got a game Thursday night. Will be a little bit, you know, it's an away game as well, over there in Belgium, and they're the ones that might be a little bit lethargic or might have a little edge, but a little edge gone. But also it's an important game for West Ham as well, because, you know, they're trying to stay in this division. They're struggling at the moment near the bottom of the table. You know what I mean? They got a great win last week away at Fulham, which sort of sent them 3 points above the drop zone with a game in hand, but they're still in it. Now, basically, we have to go there and win this game. We've had good results in recent times away. We won there last year, didn't we? West Ham.
Won there.
But we have to win this game. And they'll make it tough for us, because I think this is the sort of game where David Moyes will be like, right, it's Arsenal. Let's just frustrate. And the sort of game where the West Ham fans I've been speaking to a lot of them this season, and they've been getting on his case for being very negative. But this is the sort of game where they'll forgive him for being negative for.
100%, and this is where these games worry me, because, you know, by the way, I was shocked when I see the result against Newcastle 5-1. My word, you know what I mean? Like, but what they say to themselves is now, and this is what you're going to get with not so much, even with Southampton, these next 2 games is key. Both teams are going to say, right, let's frustrate. They need to win these games now. There's no, you know, keep it tight, and they will then make a mistake and let us in, and we can get it. Like, you know, beating Fulham last week's I think a big thing for us, because I think if they hadn't won that, West Ham would be a little bit more intense on this game. Don't forget, whatever happens today is that then on the Thursday they've got to, you know, get into that get into that semi-final. Well, listen, West Ham have not won a trophy since they beat us in 1980. You know what I mean? Like, you know, a long while. So they've got a big opportunity to win a trophy. So they want to be putting a lot of emphasis on that. So we've got to go there. I think, Robbie, it's very, very important that when we start that game, we start it off well and we get in front.
Yeah, I think
take the chances.
Got to start like how we did against Liverpool. You know what I've noticed with it? I've been watching a lot of these games down at the bottom with the relegation teams, right? And that's one thing I've noticed, that if you score first, if you get into them early, they really struggle.
Yeah.
You see the confidence, you know, like the Southampton game last week, I thought they were playing quite well.
Yeah, as soon as the goal comes in.
As soon as the goal went in,
that's
you know, because they know now they've got a mountain to climb, you know what I mean? Forest, I saw that with Leeds last week. And they're 1-0 up and they're flying. Palace get one back. All of a sudden, you see the confidence has gone.
Panic.
Panic. They end up losing 5-1, you know what I mean? So it's very important that you give them nothing to hold on to. If you go 1-2-0 up against these teams, you're probably going to go on and win the game. If they get something to hold on to, like what Bournemouth had against us at home, you've got a long day ahead. So very important to start the game quickly. But that's one of the things I've enjoyed about Arsenal, especially on the road this season, is that they do start games quickly. They get at teams, they get stuck into teams very early on in the game. And I was very impressed with our front three last week.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you what, Jesus. It's great to have him back for this running.
It's incredible.
It's great to have him back for this running. He looked about it against Liverpool.
He was brilliant. And I felt, if I've been really going back to that game, I think once he sort of fitness levels dropped, we did as well.
Yeah.
Like we couldn't hold the ball up because the physicality gone. 3 months we was without him, Robbie. 3 months. It's incredible. Like, you know, how we have kept in the title race like by losing him for 3 months is a credit to every single Arsenal player that's played, and the manager as well. Like, to being able to keep that going and keep it going. Like, you know, and we do look a different team with him. We do look. You know, I think our front three. I'll be very, very disappointed if our front three don't click. I've got to say that, you know, I thought Saka was probably the quiet one. This is his game for me. Like, I think Saka will come good in this game.
Martinelli was brilliant.
Brilliant. Like, you know, I do think that we'll have a little bit too much of West Ham, but, you know, as you say, that West Ham can say, right, you know, we can frustrate here and see if we can get, like, a point for West Ham would be fantastic.
Yep.
For us, it's a disaster. That's the problem we've got now for these next two games.
No room for error.
No room for error.
Eddie back in training, so that's an option again.
Saliba's a bit of a worry, though.
The Saliba thing is a worry. Still not hearing sounds out that he's back yet. I thought Rob Holding, by the way, has done well since he's come in.
He's done brilliant.
He's done brilliantly. You know what I mean? He has done brilliantly, but at the moment we're going to have to persist with him by the looks of it, because this back problem is proving to be a bit of an issue and really has come at the worst time, for Arsenal. But as I said, Jesus back, Eddie coming back, I think is significant as well, because I do think what Eddie can give you sometimes is that, like last week, late on in a game, when you maybe sometimes you don't even need specifically a goal, but you need someone with energy that's going to press the team. And Eddie, we've seen, he does that very well off the bench. You know what I mean? Brings a lot of energy back.
Yeah, he's been a loss.
Yeah, but these are some big weeks ahead. This is really, it's coming down to it now. It really is coming down to it now. And listen, favourites or no favourites or whatever,
the other thing is, and I think this is a really good point,
it's gonna be horrible.
and you've got to take a positive from this, right? Is we've gone away to Liverpool. We've been beaten convincingly there 4 or 5 years on the spin, right? Thrashed.
Last year we lost 4-0.
Yeah, we've gone there, got a point, and been disappointed.
And we're disappointed. We're gutted.
Yeah,
I come out of that game and I was absolutely gutted. I was like,
we celebrated a 0-0 in the League Cup last year. I know we went down to 10 men, but we celebrated it, and that was a draw. And this time we've come away 6 months later, 8 months later, whenever that game was, disappointed. That's the difference. You know what I mean? Like, you know, so I think there's positives to take from everything. Like,
very much so.
And one of the biggest positives of all is that, you know, take us out of this equation. You know, what would it be like the Premier League at this moment in time?
Well, that's it. When I keep hearing some of these guys chatting about, oh, don't bottle it. If you don't win it from this stage, you've bottled it. I'm like, yo, listen, we've kept this Premier League competitive this year by, you know, it's been us and City all the way.
Man United had an opportunity of going level with us if they'd have beaten us at the Emirates and we were in the title race, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
They didn't.
Newcastle were next to us.
Newcastle were up there.
Tottenham, remember earlier on in the season when they came to the Emirates,
they were top of the league.
Right, they were top of the league. They were unbeaten.
Didn't. Chelsea haven't. You know what I mean?
Despite spending over £600 million.
As great as they were in that second half, have been poor this season. They've not challenged for it, like, you know. So it's just left two teams standing. Us and Man City. And I don't care what anybody says. We lost out on the Champions League football last season, come 5th. Now we're challenging for the title. Whatever happens, like, you know, don't get me wrong, I'm going to be disappointed if we don't win it. Like, but I'm proud of every single one of these players. You know what I mean? They're getting better and better. Like, you know, Aaron Ramsdale now, I think is knocking on the door of Gareth Southgate and saying, right, you know, give me my chance, you know what I mean? Like, there's even talk that Pope's in front of him, as you know what I mean, which is ridiculous. You know, I look at I look at Ben White. I was disappointed with Ben White's performance on Sunday. Weren't one of his best ones, but you know, disappointed. I'm disappointed with his performance, you know what I mean? Like, it just shows you how well he's done, like, you know. People like criticising, I can't believe it, criticising Shinchenko, like, you know what I mean? Like, what's a player he's been for us this season?
His first bad game in about...
I thought he was great up until
and actually, he was
great first
just going back to that game, I do think that was the one thing I think Arteta when we were under the cosh.
Yeah,
I think Tierney's a bit better under the cosh of just straight up defending, you know. Tierney had a chance he could have scored from as well. I forgot that one.
Yeah. Well, Gabriel from the header, from the corner. Yeah,
we had chances.
We had chances. You know what I mean? But what you know? Listen, I'm not going to criticise. People will say, Arteta got things wrong on that. I'm not criticising Mikel on that day. Like, I see what he was trying to do, and it didn't work. If you asked him, he'd probably turn around and go, do you know what? I probably could have took Tierney off. Got Tierney on about 10 minutes earlier. He didn't. Yeah. Listen, his substitutions this season have been
on the money with everything. Listen, and we haven't, you know, last year you went there and lost 4-0.
Yeah.
This year it's 2-2. As I said, Man United got pumped 7-0 there. Man City lost there. You know, everybody's, you know, only Leeds got a little shock win there. Nobody has really gone there and got a result. It's difficult, no matter how badly they've been playing on the road. Anfield is a very difficult place to go to. I'm very proud of the team's performance this season as well.
And one of the things, do you remember in the running last season, Tottenham had to go to Liverpool, and they played really well, got a point there that day, you know what I mean?
I remember that,
and everybody was saying like, that's a great point, it's a great point, but they've still 2 points dropped, if you look at it from that point of view. But we've done it, and it's everybody's disappointed. So I wouldn't be disappointed at this moment in time. You know what I mean? We could actually win this league, and you look back at that game and go, do you know what? That save and that missed penalty was the thing that won it for us. I'm looking at it and going, look, this is not the end of the world. What it means is we've got to get something. At Man City and at Newcastle as well. Like, but listen, Newcastle are a good side, but you know, we go there if everybody's fit and firing, with a good chance of getting a result. So you know, as I'm going to say, I'm going to embrace these games. It was I tell you what, like, looking forward to that all day Sunday. Like, you know, in Dubai it's like 7:30 kickoff. Like, you know what I mean? So it's like they're going into the night. But looking forward to it. I've been dreading games like that in the past, Robbie. Dreading games, but I'm looking forward to. Can't wait to Sunday, like, to get, you know, West Ham away. You know, knowing that it could be a disaster, knowing you could be, but at least we've got that opportunity.
At least
we're in it. Every other team is like, you know, look, we've been in battles for top 4. This is different, and I'll tell you what, this is what we want. This is what we want. And this is what we've asked for.
It's what we've asked for. It's what we've pleaded for, and we've got it now. Embrace it as an Arsenal fan. Enjoy it as an Arsenal fan. Lap it up, right? The whole world is focused upon our club at the moment and City going for this title race, and we can still win it. It's, you know what I mean? We may not be the favourites no more, I guess, but we can still win it, And listen, this is how you write your name in history sometimes. You know what I mean? You've got to win a title is not an easy thing to do.
No, it's not going
It's
to
a
be.
very,
it's not
very difficult thing to do. You can see an example of that is Chelsea. That, you know, it's not just about going out there and spending £600 million on players. That don't win you the league. You've got to build a team. You've got to construct that team. Then you've got to overcome one of the best teams the Premier League has ever seen. That is what the feat is. You know, forget this bottle talk from other fans and that. This is how big the task is. You've got to overcome one of the best managers and one of the best teams this league has ever seen, with one of the best strikers this league has ever seen.
Yeah.
I think statistically the best striker this league. That's what we've got to overcome to win the league this season. So if we do this, it'd be unbelievable, and every Arsenal fan should be proud of what we're doing this season, because it's been incredible so far. And we still got more to give, man, and it's going to be it's going to be a great battle right until the end.
We will fight for it to the end, and that's the great thing there. Also, with Man City, don't forget, you know, people are saying about Grealish how well he's playing at me. He's a £100 million player. You know what I mean? Like we haven't spent. They've got a £100 million player, and our front three didn't cost cost less than that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it cost us about under 50 million.
Under £50 million.
Yeah.
I think about 45 million.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So and we're going toe to toe.
We're going toe to toe with them. With so, let's embrace this, man. Let's embrace this. Let's enjoy this. You know what I mean? So, and once again, let me just remind you guys of the AFTV Invincible podcast live on the road at the Islington Assembly Hall. Right, the Islington Assembly Hall on Tuesday, the 23rd of May, at 7 p.m. Right, get your tickets right now. Tickets are available right now. Really looking forward to this event.
Party atmosphere it could be. It's unbelievable.
Praying for a party atmosphere that day, but it's going to be brilliant. So make sure you get your tickets. Only 300 tickets, right? So get your tickets because they're selling fast. There's a link in the description where you can get involved in that right now. Lee, one final thing I've got to ask you just before we go. What did you bring me back?
Steven Gerrard signed boxer shorts. There you go.
Listen, thanks for watching the Invincible podcast and listening to it, of course. Don't forget, we'll be back next week here on AFTV. Big game this weekend. Let's get the 3 points at West Ham and we move.
Come on, you guys.
The Invincible podcast. Myself, Robbie, and Lee Judges come together once a week to discuss all things Arsenal. Straight talking, considered discussion, brought to you by the fans of the only club in Football League history to go invincible.